Now let's continue to talk about Xunzi's debates with other thinkers at his time. Xunzi takes seriously the responsibility of refuting false doctrines and perversions of language in his life. As in the case of Mencius, false doctrines and social disorder are the two sides of the same coin. Given his more intellectualist bent, Xunzi is more prepared to see intellectual failure as a cause of ethical perversity. As a member of Jixia Academy, Xunzi was familiar with the dominant tendencies of his time. He traced the trends he discerns in terms of various advocates of those trends. In chapter 18, on correcting falsehoods, he carries on a sustained argument against certain particular vulgar ideas widely circulating in his time. Let's consider the following two propositions of Song Xin, which he refutes. The first proposition, quote, that if men did not feel disgraced when insulted, there would be no strife among men, end quote. The second proposition, quote, that the essential desires of men are few, end quote. Concerning the first proposition, he argues that even Song Xin admits that men hate to be insulted. He believes that they can feel hate without feeling disgraced. However, when men feel hatred, they have an impulse to strike out against those they hate. Therefore, anything that arouses hatred will arouse strife. There may be those who, for temperamental reasons, feel no such hatred, but whatever arouses hatred will lead to strife. Since a chaotic society is full of a multitude of occasions for hatred, the notion of eliminating strife by not responding to insults is a delusion. The sage kings do not base their conception of good order on eliminating the passions, but on the channeling and confining of passions. By establishing a normative order in which what is truly honorable is honored, and what is truly disgraceful is disgraced, the sages use the hatred of disgrace and the love of honor to good purpose. With regard to the notion of the paucity of human desires, this is second proposition, he points out Song Xin admits that the human senses naturally desire gratification. To admit that the senses desire gratification and to posit that there are limits to such desires is like, quote, loving female beauty and hating Xi Shi, unquote. Xi Shi is the famous paragon of feminine beauty. The sages accept the insatiability of the desires in men when ungoverned by Li. To the extent that they rely on incentives of rewards and punishments, they channel and confine these desires in the service of higher ends. His sketches of false tendencies in the Confucian camp are devastating. He scorns the followers of Zixia and Ziyou. They seem to resemble the Confucianists we have met in the book of Mozi. He agrees with them that one must cherish Li and the study of Confucian heritage, but his description is contemptuous. Quote, their clothes and caps are neatly arranged. Their demeanor is grave. They are retiring and spend days without uttering a word. Such are the unworthy rule of the Zixia school, shirking their duties and shamelessly gorging on food and drink, grandly proclaiming that noblemen do not exert their strength. These are the unworthy rule of the Ziyou school. Unquote. Xunzi closely identifies with Confucius' disciple Zigong. Zigong was profoundly versed in Li and music. He was also an active, vigorous statesman immersed in the affairs of his time and well versed in the practice of government. He was a true nobleman who, quote, in times of ease, is not indolent, and in times of urgency is completely alert. In dealing with the fundamentals and responding to changing circumstances, he always does what is appropriate. Unquote. Xunzi's criticism of Mencius seems to be sharp. Mencius' teaching that the nature is good undermines the imperative to learn. Learning does not emerge in Mencius as the arduous and demanding enterprise. Quote, the nature of man is without Li and righteousness, and man must strenuously engage in learning in order to seek to obtain them. Unquote. Xunzi would agree that education of children is based on a stern discipline. Ceremonies and punishments would go hand in hand, even though the humanizing effects of Li might in the end win the upper hand. It appears that to Xunzi, Mencius' preachment to the rulers of his time to touch the roots of goodness in their own hearts would seem futile. Mencius' Confucianism seems to bear little relation to reality. Xunzi also attacks the beclouded and one-sided views of other thinkers. Mezi's enormous emphasis on unadorned utility and austere frugality ignores the crucial role that Li played in civilizing the human passions and establishing the symbolic base of the order of society. Zhuangzi is obsessed with heaven, with becoming one with heaven. He does not know man. He overlooks the fact that it is only by acting as a man that one knows heaven. Hui Shi attempts to undermine our faith in a true normative language created by the sage kings of old. He thinks that this language does not describe the world as it is. This language annihilates all the categories and distinctions which make the normative social order possible. Xunzi says of Shen Dao that he, quote, is beclouded by the law and knows nothing of worthy men, unquote. Shen Dao dreams of a system of impersonal laws and institutions maintaining the social-political order. This order would render totally superfluous the role of moral agents. the role of sages and noblemen in human affairs. In Xunzi's words, quote, he exalts law is without law, unquote. The law Sheng Dao disdains is the law of Li, a moral law which the nobleman imposes on himself. Quote, he despises self-cultivation and has a predilection for creating new laws, unquote. The ancient laws of Li, which Sheng Dao opposes, are connected with the belief in the power of man to moralize themselves and then to moralize society. They are laws of life which depend on the belief in the vital role of human actors in creating a moral social order. In the anti-traditional spirit of legalism, Sheng Dao creates a whole new system of impersonal criminal and administrative law. This law relies on a kind of behavioristic model of man, making worthy men entirely dispensable. Without such a system in place, he would simply acquiesce to that imposed from above and follow along with the prevailing customs below. The moral autonomy of the Confucian nobleman would disappear. Xunzi seems to be desperate in his vehement defense of Confucianism against the rising tide of legalism. What he is really defending against them is his belief in the capacities of noblemen as moral agents and the relevance of these capacities to social order. This is opposed to a simple behaviorist model of man. He argues that no techniques of war will work without a basis in troop morale. No system of penal laws and incentives will work without a basic attitude of trust. What he is defending is the very notion of the relevance of a Confucian moral self-cultivation. However, many of the men of worth in his time were strongly against him. An anonymous disciple complains of the lack of appreciation for his wisdom. Quote, Li and righteousness made no headway, and the efforts to carry out a transformation through teaching could not succeed, unquote. His disciple Li Si was to become the chief legalist minister of Qin Shi Huangdi, the founder of the Qin dynasty. This fact indicates the difficulty of making the most realistic defense of Confucianism plausible to intelligent young thinkers of his time. Li Si points out to his teacher a most challenging observation. Quote, the Qin have been victorious for 4 generations. Their army is powerful. Within the 4 seas, their power overawes the princes. They do not accomplish this by humanity and righteousness. They do it by conducting their affairs according to what is most useful and expedient, unquote. Xunzi replies that their conception of what is truly useful is narrow and short-sighted. In the end, only a government able to win the love of the people by benevolence and righteousness can win their allegiance. To the ambitious young Li Si, the contemporary facts of history do not seem to support his master's case. That is a different story. We will go to the details in the next lecture. Okay. Assignment today is, could you elaborate on Xunzi's notion of heaven? Thank you.